Hi there, Michael Gallacher here, aka the Media Preacher, with another review of a movie. I'm back in the man cave, and the movie that I'd like to review today is a film that I think in years to come is going to be regarded as a really classic film. It's still a fairly new film at the minute, but it's a film that I'm really excited about at the moment because I just read the book on holiday when I was on holiday with my wife, and so I had to come and do a review of this particular movie. But the movie in question is a film that stars Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike, and it is of course the masterpiece that is Gone Girl. I'd like to just bend down for a second because on the floor I have a copy of the film on Blu-ray that was purchased to me as a gift by my good friend Emma. Thank you, Emma, for the movie again. And here it is, Gone Girl on Blu-ray, and this is a fantastic set. I'll go through the set in a second, but first perhaps I'll tell you a little bit about what this film is about. Now, when I first saw this film in the theatre with my wife, she had read the book and told me how good the book was, but I hadn't read the book and I knew very little going into the movie what this was about. And the movie opens essentially with a married couple, Ben Affleck and Rosamund Pike. And Rosamund Pike suddenly goes missing. The police are called, and Ben Affleck essentially is the person who seems to have committed a murder, for want of a better word, because when the police start digging, they find various pieces of evidence which seem to suggest that in fact Ben Affleck has murdered his wife. Namely, there's a diary that they find that's written by Rosamund Pike's character Amy, in which she essentially is intimating that domestic abuse has been going on, and then when they look at the crime scene, because when Ben Affleck comes home, his house is in disarray and his wife is nowhere to be seen. When they look at the crime scene, it doesn't make sense for various reasons. And then when they look at it further, they realise that blood, which matches the same type of blood that Amy has been mopped up from the floor, and it almost looks like the scene has been created to make it look as if someone had kidnapped the wife. Various other really interesting things happen, but in case you haven't seen the film, I don't want to give away the big twist. You may even have heard about it because it's become a popular film at this point. But on seeing it for the first time and not knowing very much about it, the twist was huge. And it's really the performances that are given in this film by both Ben Affleck and by Rosamund Pike are absolutely phenomenal, and the direction of the film also is phenomenal. It's directed by David Fincher, who of course started with Alien 3 and then went on to create some really classic movies like Seven and Zodiac, and it's really shot in that sort of vein. So if you like those movies, I think you'll like this film very, very much. Let's look at the Blu-ray set very quickly first. It's beautifully packaged. It's released as an 18 certificate film, and it's very much an adult film. And of course it's released by 20th Century Fox, who provide essentially the disc in this little sort of slip type cover. In addition to that, you have this beautiful children's book, and if you haven't seen the film, essentially the character of Amy is someone whose parents were writers, or are writers, and they wrote a series of books called Amazing Amy, based largely on their daughter and on things she didn't achieve but perhaps they wished that she had, and they become very rich as a result of writing these books, and that's a big part of the film. And so you get with this particular Blu-ray set this beautiful Amazing Amy book, which is written like a children's book, and is so fantastically presented and such a nice thing to have with the set. And then of course you get the full cover, which has all of the pictures and so on and so forth from the movie, together with the original artwork. And that's something that is really important, because in a lot of the reissued Blu-rays you don't seem to get the artwork quite as often as I'd like, the original cinema artwork. You tend to get this recommissioned artwork, which can be really good, but in my view can be a bit hit and miss. And if it's a classic film that had a classic poster and an iconic poster, it's a shame that you don't have that, or you have to go actually into the disc to look at it in the special features. In addition to that, as I say, actually just as a result of watching the film, I also thought it would be really interesting to read the book by Gillian Flynn, which was a bestseller and is commented to be Thriller of the Year by The Observer, a fairly well-respected paper in England. And the book is even better than the film. If you haven't read this book, please do. It's a real page-turner. And even though I knew what the twist was going to be reading the book, the fact that I knew what the twist was going to be, in some way way made the book even more interesting, because I was picking up on things that are in the book that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on the first time you read it. And the character of Amy is really, really well fleshed out in the book, and her devious, for want of a better word, character is really well explained, and it goes into more detail as to just how bizarre this woman is. But the movie is a thriller, essentially. It has some really interesting set pieces in it in terms of what's happened to her, and it really builds to a climax, and it's told in such a way that you don't really understand where it's going until you realise where it's going, and then you think, my goodness, this could be a masterpiece in years to come. But I really think it's a film that's worth seeing if you haven't already seen it, and the Blu-ray edition that I've just shown you is so well worth getting. It's beautifully packaged. The film was shot digitally, as David Fincher always does, and so it looks fantastic in high definition Blu-ray on a huge screen or on a projector. It looks really brilliant and cinematic, and is well worth the purchase. And I think you can actually buy it now in the shops for about £10 less than when it first came out, so it's a really good value for money at the moment. But yeah, no, I would definitely go and check out the movie, and I would definitely check out the book if you then enjoyed the movie, or vice versa. If you want to read the book first and then look at the movie, then you'll have some real fun, because maybe knowing what's going to happen in the movie before you see it would be really interesting. Anyway, let me know what you think of the film, and as always, please subscribe to The Media Preacher. See you later.